I would just like to say, thanks a lot for letting me be here. This is the second year that I've been able to do some work with KVC, thanks in large part to Mr. Ball, who got me involved with this. And I didn't know much about the program before I did this last year. And I'm proud as a KCK native to know that an organization this amazing and this powerful that affects so many people started in my hometown because of so many great people like David Ball who made this grow. And just thanks for letting me be here. I'll move on to the more important people that you want to see and hear from here today. Now, they told me that they wanted this to be more like a Jimmy Fallon type thing, so they put the desk set up here, and I'm going to bring up the big stars and just interview them and let them be the stars of the show now. So without further ado, we've heard about Bill Self a couple of times being here. This is the third year in a row he's been a part of this. He's on the board of KVC, and basically, Bill Self makes everything in life look easy, whether it's winning 11 straight conference championships, winning a national championship, helping a great cause like this. Let's welcome Coach Bill Self to the stage.
Thank you. Do I just sit down now?
I can sit right here, yeah.
Thanks, Jimmy. That was great.
I feel like there should be, I want a band here or something like that, if we're going to do it that way. But we'll have some fun here, Coach. First of all, before we talk basketball, and I know a lot of people want to hear about all the stuff you guys have going on, which is a lot. In the first place, though, your relationship with KVC. I know that you have your own foundation that also works with children, so this is a major passion of yours. But how did you get involved, and why is this so important to you?
Well, I really didn't know much about it, but I knew David Ball, and he introduced me to Wayne Sims, and there's a lot of people in this room that are really, really good at their job, but I don't know if anybody's better at their job than what Wayne is at his. I mean, he's terrific, and my role is so minimal because there's so many people that work so many hours working on this. But any time that you can give back to kids, and in my profession, I get a chance to see a lot of different things of young people that maybe weren't dealt the same hand as what we hope that our son or daughter's dealt throughout their life. And so anytime you can play a role in making life better for potentially great outcomes is something that's pretty true to my heart.
It's certainly a pleasure for all of us to have you here again this year. All right, let's talk some basketball. I don't know about you, but I was pretty wrapped up in this NBA Finals thing. That was pretty tremendous final. And you got another Jayhawk that won a ring, too. Brandon Rush was there, which is cool because you just keep getting more and more guys that played for you that are winning hardware. But my question, I've been dying to ask you this since I was watching the finals the whole time. I know why the Cavs made the trade, but if Andrew Wiggins is on that team with LeBron James, how does this series turn out?
I don't know. I personally, I thought it was when it initially happened, I thought it was actually a smart trade.
Right.
Because, every team has a window in which they have a chance to do something. And as good as Andrew is, which he's obviously pretty good, the fact that Kevin Love was somebody that was proven, you have to make the trade,
Sure.
At least from my standpoint. But then after the way it went down, they're probably wishing they did not. But I don't know if you guys followed Andrew this year, but he averaged 17 a game. He's a Rookie of the Year by almost unanimous decision, and had an unbelievable year. And we used to get on to him at KU because he didn't do enough. You guys were mad at him too, just like I was. That you want him to do more, but he was just this all the way through, and just this isn't a bad way to be when you have a lot of pressure on you. And he certainly responded in a big-time way this year.
Did it surprise you that he caught on that quickly, especially the last month or two of the season, it seemed like?
I think it surprised me a little bit because he became more of an alpha male. When we had him, we wanted him to take charge and do more. And I think the fact that he had some success early. I don't know if you guys followed it, but when he played Cleveland, I mean, he put it to the Cavaliers and LeBron. Mm-hmm. I think he had like 26 and 31 in the two games he went against Cleveland. So it doesn't surprise me that anything that kid can do. He's lived, his dad was an NBA player. His mom was a an Olympian and a silver medalist winner in the 100-yard dash, which is the elite event, as far as track and field goes. And so you knew that he had the genes, that he had a chance to be special. You just didn't know if he had the makeup to want it that bad, and it's very evident he does.
Okay, now for your team, you guys are going to be busy here this summer.
Busy, yeah.
Yeah, you got 2 games coming up against Canada to get yourselves ready for the World University Games in Korea. So just tell me, first of all, you've had a chance to do a lot of cool overseas things with your kids over the years. What makes this event, maybe sets it apart from the other stuff that you've done in the past?
Well, I really haven't had a chance to do a lot of cool stuff overseas. We've been to Canada a few times, which I coached a player one time that thought that was overseas. That's a true story. Coach, I'm going to play overseas. I said, where are you going to play? He said, Canada. Okay, but...
You guys went to Europe, though,
well,
once.
I tell you what, I didn't coach him. He was a teammate back when I played.
Okay.
We weren't very good then. But we've had an opportunity to do some fun things. And, of course, this is unique in that we're basically going to a miniature Olympics. But the Olympics is for everybody 24 years and younger. And you're not going to have 100 countries represented, but you have about 30 countries represented there with about 20 to 25 different sports. So we'll stay in Olympic Village. We're going to be over there a long time. I mean, 17 days is a long time just at home, let alone in Gwangju, South Korea. So we'll get to know each other very, very well, and hopefully it'll turn into a great bonding experience. But the competition's stiff, and there hasn't. I think the best American team that's gone over there and performed in recent memory, I think, was an 8th place finish, I think in 2009 or something like that. So we haven't experienced a lot of success in this because we're playing with young kids against men, but it'll be fun to see how we stack up.
Now I know that not all your kids are eligible for this competition, but look, I'm sure you get this everywhere I go. People always ask me about the new guys, the recruits that you got coming in. Fans get to see some of them at Sprint Center next week. What are your thoughts? Just can you tell us maybe about what you're seeing from your kids so far, the new guys?
Well, we signed 4 and only 2 are here. Shaq is an African kid, so he cannot participate.
That is overseas, right?
Yeah, that's
okay.
You're good. No wonder you're on the radio. And Dwight is from the Bahamas, and he's not eligible. So the only 2 we have are the kid from Memphis, LaGerald Vick, and then Carlton Bragg from Cleveland, that are both doing very, very well. So we'll get a chance to see those guys in this setting. But we can't take Shaq, we can't take Dwight, we can't take Svi, obviously, and then Brandon Green is injured. So we're going to have, our team's only going to be about 6 of our top 10 deep, because all those guys will have a chance to be impact guys for us.
Once you get all those guys in, how excited are you for the team you'll have next year?
I'm real excited. I think that we've been good, pretty good the last couple of 3 years, but we've been ridiculously young, and it's harder than what maybe some people think, taking 18-year-olds and competing against 22-year-olds and having great success, because there's a learning curve. You got to learn how to play, and you got to learn habits and do these things. But we've been so young. But next year we're old. I mean, we can't use that as an excuse. I mean, we actually have a veteran team, and if you look at the best teams that we've had, even in 2012 when we played Kentucky in the finals, we started 3 juniors and 2 seniors, and then in 08 when we were fortunate and won it, we were our oldest guys were juniors and seniors. I mean, main guys were juniors and seniors. So it'll be nice to have a veteran ball club.
All right, well, I'm sure that all the KU fans are looking forward to that very much. In keeping with this Jimmy Fallon theme here, we have more than one guest for all of you to get to hear from today. You've heard his name mentioned a couple of times already. This was another star Division I athlete, just like Coach Self was, and now he is the president of the Kansas City Chiefs. And so we're going to hear some of those stories as well. Please, a nice round of applause for Mark Donovan of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Thank you.
You want to sit in the middle?
No, I'm good.
You're good?
16 in the middle.
Coach Self told us he wants, as this event continues to grow, to start branching out beyond just Kansas basketball and bringing in some other stars from the sports scene here in Kansas City. So you can thank Coach Self for making this interview possible as well. All right, Mark, I mentioned that you were a star college athlete as well.
Some would say you exaggerated.
You know what, though? I think you've shared this story with me before, and I think it's really cool. So I'm wondering if you can, with the folks here, about your background as a quarterback and how that led to you working in a front office in the NFL. Can you share that story? There's some cool names that are involved in this story, if I recall correctly.
So I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'll be as quick as I can. So I had 30,000 people at my high school state championship game, and I decided to go to Brown University. And my first game at Brown, there were 7 people at that game. So it wasn't high quality. We weren't big, but we were slow. So it wasn't good. I had the good fortune of playing pretty well, and then I signed a free agent deal with the New York Giants. And I got the good fortune of being in a training camp with Coach Bill Parcells as the head coach. I'm going to forget all the names. But Romeo Crennel was our defensive line coach. A guy named Bill Belichick was our defensive coordinator. So there were a lot of guys to learn from. And I figured out about 5 weeks in that I probably was going to play a lot of football for the New York Giants, and I officially retired from the game about a week before I was officially cut. So I can say I retired. But I went to work for a consulting company, and when I left, I had to have a meeting with Coach Parcells. And I'm this 23-year-old nervous kid. Coach made me sit outside his office for 45 minutes. So now I'm in full sweat. And I walk in, I say, Coach, I know this sounds weird, but I'm going to retire. And he sort of chuckled. And then he said a couple things that were very compelling to me. One was, I'm going to have to cut about 50 guys here in the next 3 weeks, and not everyone has the opportunity to do what you can do, so go get a job and be successful and have fun doing it. And he also said, if you ever need me to be a reference, go ahead and put my name down. So, the first job interview. First reference, Bill Parcells. Knowing full well, the guy's never going to call Bill Parcells, and Bill Parcells is never calling him back. So I get the job, and 3 weeks in, the guy says, I just want to talk about your references. And I said, okay, I still have the job, right? Yeah. He said, I called Bill Parcells. And I said, well, I'm sorry he didn't call you back. He's pretty busy. He's like, no, he called me back that day. I'm like, well, I'm sure he was polite. He's like, nope, he knew your high school, he knew your college stats, he knew just about everything about you at camp, and it was one of the best references I ever got. I was with Bill Parcells for about 3.5 weeks, and I was one of 95 guys. And the lesson that taught me was just how important relationships are and how important it is for you to respect that and appreciate that. So he was a big part of me having a love for the NFL and what team sports mean, and he's one of the reasons I'm where I am today.
That is such a cool story. I love hearing that every time. Now, when you mentioned that Bill Belichick was there on the staff,
Yeah.
Did he ever suggest to you maybe deflate the footballs and that give you a better chance, in the tryouts?
Well, being a quarterback and you're trying to make an NFL team, it's not a good sign when you spend most of your time with the defensive coordinator. So I spent a lot of time with Coach Belichick, and I was throwing defensive drills mostly. But no, ball inflation was not a topic.
never got brought up. I didn't think it would. Now, you mentioned some big names right there, and you've worked with some great general managers, great coaches, all that in the NFL. And right now, I know everybody in Kansas City is really excited about having Andy Reid here and having John Dorsey. Now that you've worked with them for a while, what stands out about those guys to you and makes them so special?
Well, so 2 different guys, but I had the good fortune of working with Coach Reid for 6 years in Philadelphia before coming here. I was here for 4 years, and then we talked him into coming. Here's the thing you need to know about Coach Reid. He has seen everything. This guy's experienced every situation you can imagine, and that creates so much confidence in the building. The guys, they love to play for this guy, and they love to play for him because he respects them, and he treats them like men, and you see that every single day. With Doris, we call Doris the wedge buster. For anybody who played football, that's the guy who runs down the field really fast and just blows up everybody, usually with his forehead. So we give him a little bit of grief about that. he's the hardest working guy in the room. He, again, respects all of his staff and appreciates what they do to make us better. And you got two guys who really genuinely are where they want to be. You don't always find that in professional sports. Andy, he's the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, and he doesn't want to be anywhere else. He's not trying to get his next job. Doris worked for Green Bay for 22, 24 years. The only other job he ever wanted was here in Kansas City. And they had worked together in Green Bay together, so there's some history there. And every day is, you feel good, you feel confident, and you feel there's a trust level in the building. And that just permeates and helps you be successful.
That's really cool. Now, this question is for both of you guys, because we're here with two guys who did play sports at an extremely high level, but not professionally. You turned, though, your experiences with sports into great jobs, in athletics. And the whole theme of this today is heroes, right? So I'm wondering if both you guys, and I'll start with you, Coach Self, can maybe tell us about a hero that you had as a kid that maybe helped shape who you are, and you wouldn't be the same had you not had that hero in your life.
Well, I think that, I was not an elite athlete by any stretch, but my mom thought I was, but not too many, not too many other people. But I grew up idolizing, from a playing standpoint, the Larry Birds of the world, from that standpoint. But those come and go. I mean, you grow up kind of wanting to be like somebody, and then that changes, and 2 years later it's somebody else. And this is what makes this room the potential to have such an impact. My hero is my dad, and you hear these stories of kids that are dealt a poor hand. They don't even get a chance to sit at a dinner table across the table from their hero, like many of us have, and so. But what he taught me wasn't anything. I mean, we played in the driveway. He worked with me all the time, all that stuff. But just how you handle people, and I think that is something that I probably respect as much as anything else. And he probably gave me more than what. I worked for Coach Brown. I worked for Eddie Sutton. I worked for Leonard Hamilton, and all those guys are fabulous. But I learned more just being around somebody through osmosis as much as anything else as I did my father.
That's pretty cool. Mark, you mentioned Bill Parcells being one of those guys that was influential in your life, but what about maybe as a kid? Did you have a hero that...
I got the chance to speak at KU Business School, and I told the same story that when I was growing up in Pittsburgh, football is relatively big in Pittsburgh, so if you're an athlete, you played football. So I was on an 8- and 9-year-old team that literally didn't lose a game, went 2 seasons without being scored upon. It was just dominant, and it was one of these things that just sort of grew on itself. And you would think that what you learn there is success and dealing with success. I remember Coach Fred Galovich. Fred was, when you're 8 or 9 years old, this guy was bigger than life. Saw Fred about 10 years ago when I was back in Pittsburgh. He's about 5'4".
Hey, that's not that short, all right?
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying.
Take it easy.
Not bigger than life.
Jimmy Fallon's height.
So the one thing I remember about Coach Galovich was obviously hard work, and we were successful because of him, but he was so focused on, after the game, respecting the other team and respecting the other coaches. And man, if you didn't look the other player in the eye when you shook his hand, let alone not shaking his hand, you had to look him in the eye and you had to say, "Nice game." Well, that taught so many lessons. That you talk about locker rooms, you talk about what you learn playing sports, you talk about all the character it instills. There's a great picture at the end of this year's Super Bowl, ironically, involving Tom Brady. There's a great picture, if you remember, obviously, the end of this Super Bowl. It was one of the more compelling endings of a sporting event in the history of sports. Tom Brady's on his knees giving thanks, and Richard Sherman, who's not exactly known as one of the most polite, respectful guys out there, but he really is. Richard Sherman's standing in front of him, and he's shaking his hand. This is a second after he lost the Super Bowl on a freak play. And what I remembered from that picture was Fred Galovich, and just what he instilled at that age and how it sort of resonates even through today.
That's a great story. That reminds me of LeBron James shaking hands with Steph Curry at the end of the NBA Finals after that heartbreaking loss for him. It's
Coach knows this. Kids watch that.
Yeah.
A lot of kids saw LeBron James shaking hands, and that has impact.
Pretty cool stuff. All right, now I know we're running out of time here, so we have one last thing we want to do. Excuse me, before we let y'all go. Again, I'm a very, very, very poor version of Jimmy Fallon here, but one of the things, if you watch his show, that he always ends up doing when he has big-name guests on the show is he'll get them out, and they'll do a little competition. So would you guys like to see Coach Self and Mark Donovan do a little competition here on the stage? I think we can have some fun with this.
We're not doing push-ups, are we?
Yeah, we're gonna do calisthenics. No, we have a small putting green here, set up right in front of the set here. And what I thought we'd do is maybe have a little putting competition. And I hate to spring this on you guys, but what good's a competition if there aren't some stakes involved, right? So what I want to ask you is, would you two be willing, if we have this putting contest, for the loser to offer up some tickets to either a KU basketball game or a Chiefs football game that will go to the auction here for the KVC? Would you guys be willing to do that?
We're in.
Yes.
You're in? You're in? All right. You guys feel confident in your putting game?
No.
Well, let's see what we can do here. I think we've got the putters over here, so I'll get you guys choose your weapons. I don't know.
Are you right-handed?
I am.
Give him the
Are you gonna
left-handed
make me putt
putter.
lefty? Is there a lefty in there?
No.
Come on.
Are you really going to have to putt backwards here? Is that we've got? These are the same types of putters, so I don't know.
You pick. I don't want any excuses.
I'm just handing them over.
Always a coach.
So I'm thinking, I think we have 9 balls here, so we'll just have to go 4 and 4. I think is what we'll do, and maybe whoever can get the most hole-in-ones out of 4. Does that sound all right? Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah.
Are you going to go first and show us the line, or?
You don't want to say? Yeah, sure, I'll do that.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
since we have 9 balls, I'll just show you how horrible of a golfer I am.
I just want somebody else to putt.
So here we go. I doubt there's a little bit of a ridge there, so maybe in the water. I mean, story of my life right there. So
That's a
Here we
bad
go.
putt if you putt off the green in the water. You want to go first?
Like I
You
said.
go. I'll watch. I'm going to watch and learn.
All right. I don't know if I've ever been this nervous before in my life.
It's pressure.
Oh,
He's in the water as well with the first
yeah,
one.
that was a. Do I?
Yeah, let's take turns.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
do
take
that.
turns.
All right.
Really going to build the pressure
that really
here.
broke hard left. I don't know
Hard
if you saw
left?
that.
Oh, just didn't put enough on it.
There's a golf expression: never up, never in.
Coach Self didn't really follow my line. I mean, he just hit it right where I did.
Well, I just
first time.
thought. First of all, I can't always hit it where I'm aiming.
There it is.
Back in the
dang,
water,
it
in the drink
falls off
twice
the
now.
table.
In the
left.
water? Someone's got to change.
Mark, I think you had the right line last time. You just need to put a little something on it.
A little oomph.
Oh, he's in the sand, so it's
God,
there's all
You
God,
didn't
I-
say.
all kind of hazards up here.
I'm
This
giving,
is-
I'm, gi-
You made
I'm
him.
giving him every opportunity because I'm hoping he gives me free tickets to a game. Bingo.
Here we go. There's our first one.
All right.
Like all the great ones, he knew right when it left his putter, didn't he?
Just so you know, Mark, I'm really pulling for you.
I think he's setting me up somehow.
Oh. So if we
So
make
if I miss
This
the
could
next
clinch it right
you
here.
could clinch it right here.
I could, but that would take away from,
The drama.
the drama.
He put it in. He clinches it.
All game.
Congratulations.
You gotta get a picture of that.
So, Mark, that means you have to give up some tickets now. You're all right with
I
that?
gladly will give up some tickets.
Okay.
I gotta imagine that if we asked, he'd probably add some tickets.
What do you think? Would you be willing to do that?
That wasn't part of the deal.
Okay, all right. Hey, he's a man of his word.
Of course, of course.
All right, how about that? We're going to have tickets from both KU and the Chiefs going to the event tonight. Once again, how about a round of applause for Mark Donovan and Bill Self?
Thank you.
Thanks so much for letting us be here. I'll turn it back over to Krista. Thanks again, everybody. Appreciate it.
That was fun.
Oh, yeah.
So real quick, we ran out of basketballs, which is a really good problem to have, but I don't know if Coach Self knows this yet, but he's agreed to sign more. And so if you donated, someone from KVC will be getting with you. We'll make a note on your card, and they'll find a way to get them to you and get a hold of you once we let Bill Self know he's going to be signing more balls. Secondly, if you became a hero today, will you please come up for a big group shot with the guys, because this is one of the fun things we share with everyone else. The people who became heroes today, and it's, if you pledge to become an everyday hero, come on up. So let's just, because this is it, we're done. So we're just going to quick get this picture. Thanks so much for coming out today. I'm so happy that those of you who are here for the first time got a chance to see what this is all about. So come on up, don't be shy.